At the end of last year at the International Motorcycle Show, Yamaha came to the table with a very tarted up Tenere 700, calling it the Raid, showing it racing through the desert. It had better suspension, better brakes, increased engine performance with a full titanium exhaust, as well as airbox modifications, and of course those bigger fuel tanks. Turns out that Yamaha have filed new patents that show this isn't just a prototype to get us all drooling, this is actually a bike they intend on producing, which is very exciting news. But will it be any good, and will it keep the key factors that got us excited in the first place? Let's find out. So there's two major changes that you need to pay attention to with this Tenere 700 Raid over the existing model. The first one, which is clearly evident in these patents, is the dual front fuel tanks, which are far bigger than the current Tenere 700, which suggests a far superior fuel range. So for people who are criticizing the lack of fuel range on the Tenere 700, this will appease your needs, as this looks like it will go far further on a tank of fuel than the current Tenere 700. It looks like Yamaha are doing a BMW GS versus BMW GS Adventure type thing with these two fuel tanks. So that's great to see. I always like my adventure bikes to have as much range as possible. The other significant change here is the rally tower and the fairing. That does look different to me. It looks like you've got a little more wind protection on the side there, which is great to see. It will make touring on those high speed, high wind scenarios a little more comfortable. We can also see what looks like little lugs sticking out, plastic lugs. They look to me like they might protect the tank a little bit and the fairing in a drop. So they might have tried to mitigate bolting crash bars and saving weight a bit there by putting those plastic lugs there. But other than that, it doesn't look like a significant departure. Obviously, the biggest story here is what's not on the bike. We can clearly see from these patents, and a lot of articles are now talking about this, that we don't have the upgraded suspension. There isn't upgraded brakes. It looks like the exhaust is the same, so we can extrapolate that there isn't any engine performance upgrades, because the Raid version we saw as a concept had a full titanium exhaust and a modified airbox to get more power out of the engine. A lot of the significant updates that got a lot of people excited aren't actually on this bike. Yamaha have kind of catfished us here. They've subverted our expectations. This is a positive move. I don't want to ruin the fact that it is delivering a bike that a lot of people want. But the fact that they've posed this bike as something it clearly isn't is a little frustrating. What we saw at the end of last year was two professional riders racing through the desert on a Yamaha with better suspension, brakes, and engine. And what we've got is a Tenere 700 with a longer fuel range and better wind protection. Those are not the same things. We've got a better adventure tourer, but we don't have a better off-road adventure machines. My big hope is that they still do plan to make a rally model. Despite that, this is a very exciting bike for me. This is the kind of adventure bike I do like to look at, because I never use an adventure bike as my number one bike in my garage. That's what I like a dual sport for, or an enduro bike to do the tight, twisty, single track stuff that I like doing, albeit very slowly. My adventure bike usually is for the long distance stuff. I don't do anything harder than mild twin track, what you'd find your average four-wheel drive doing, that kind of stuff. So the fact that the Tenere 700 will have a bigger tank and a little bit better wind protection is the kind of bike that really appeals to me, because the base Tenere 700 still is something very special. That motor is just a gem of a parallel twin with that 270-degree crank. It's still reasonably affordable for most human beings. But let me know in the comments below, is this the kind of Tenere you wanted? Something that's better at the adventure touring? Or were you really hoping for that high performance rally ready Tenere 700? I'd love to know, so chuck it down in the comment section down below. And as always guys, don't forget to stay shiny side up, and I'll see you in the next one. Catch you later.